Effective immediately. HR downstairs. 5 words. That's all Madison Lawson said before she dropped a termination notice on my desk and walked out. No handshake. No explanation. Just a piece of paper that would detonate a $285 million merger in exactly 72 hours. She had no idea what she'd just done. My name is Jim Bennett. I'm 50 years old, and I had just been fired from Graybridge Defense Systems, the company I'd given 23 years of my life to. I stared down at the notice. Expensive cream paper, the kind they use to make something look official. My name at the top. The date and time stamped across the middle. I checked my watch. 12 p.m. sharp. Monday. My $127,000 performance bonus was scheduled to hit my account. Thursday at noon, exactly 72 hours from now. Madison thought she was smart. Cut me loose before payday. Save the company money. What she didn't know was that my bonus wasn't just money. It was a tripwire, connected to the one thing holding her precious merger together. Here's what you need to understand. That $127,000 was tied to a clause written 12 years ago by the company founder, Colonel William Hutchinson. Bill was a retired Marine, someone who believed your word mattered and loyalty ran both ways. When he inserted that clause into my contract, he made sure no one could ever strip away what we built together. The clause was simple. Once that bonus was paid, full legal ownership of our core defense protocol, the ironclad system would automatically transfer to me. Not symbolically, legally. And without ironclad, Graybridge had nothing to offer Sentinel Defense Group. Madison had just armed a bomb she didn't even know existed. I signed the termination notice without a word. My hand didn't shake. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and headed for the elevator. HR was waiting in the lobby like they were escorting a criminal. I nodded and kept walking. On my desk, I'd left a small black USB drive. I saw Madison glance at it as I passed her office. She probably assumed it was my backup proof. She now owned everything she needed. That drive was empty. Had been for years. Every real backup, every line of Ironclad's code was locked behind biometric encryption that only I could access. I got into my truck and drove home. The city looked perfectly normal. People going about their Monday. No one knew that in 72 hours, the biggest defense merger of the year would collapse, and it would all trace back to 5 words in an office. When I walked through the front door, Carol was in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and immediately set down her coffee. Jim? I got fired. Her eyes widened. What happened? Madison walked into my office at noon and handed me a termination notice. Effective immediately. Carol has been my wife for 25 years. She stood by me through 8 years in the Navy, through all-nighters when systems crashed, through crises that would have broken other marriages. But this was different. Ashley is a senior in college. Brian is a junior. We've got tuition bills and a mortgage. Why would she do that? Carol asked. She's trying to cut me out before my bonus pays. She thinks she's saving $127,000. And the clause? She just triggered it. In 72 hours, I'll own the Ironclad system. Not Graybridge, me. Carol pulled out the chair across from me. What about the merger? Dead without it. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. Jim, you've given them 23 years. What about us? What about Ashley and Brian? What about your health? That hit harder than the termination. 3 months ago, my doctor told me my blood sugar was too high pre-diabetes. He said I needed to cut stress, lose weight, maybe even consider early retirement. I had promised Carol we'd go to Montana for a month after the merger closed. Just us. A lake. No phones. I know what I promised, I said. Do you? She replied, You've been talking about retirement for 2 years, and you're still there every weekend. This is different. How? Because Bill trusted me to protect what we built. And Madison just tried to destroy it without even reading the contracts she manages. Carol studied my face. She wasn't angry, just tired. Then finish it, she said. But when this is over, we're going to Montana. No arguments. Deal. I went upstairs to my home office and powered up my workstation. A countdown clock filled the screen. 71 hours. 58 minutes. 42 seconds. Let me tell you about Bill Hutchinson. I met him 23 years ago when I was 27. Fresh out of my Navy contractor work. Graybridge was nothing back then, just a warehouse full of engineers, trying to build cybersecurity for military contracts. Bill saw something in me that first day. Maybe it was the discipline from my service. Maybe it was because we both believed the same thing. If you're going to build something, build it right and protect the people who help you do it. Over the years, I became the guy they called when everything was on fire. In 2020, when a ransomware attack hit the Eastern power grid, I stayed awake for 72 straight hours rebuilding our protocols from bare metal. The entire East Coast almost went dark. We stopped it with 6 minutes to spare, when the Pentagon needed quantum-resistant encryption for nuclear facility systems. I designed it when our biggest client demanded 0-day patches in 48 hours. I delivered in 36. I didn't do it for awards. I did it because that's what you do when you're part of something that matters. 12 years ago, Bill asked me to meet him at a steakhouse in Arlington. We were both exhausted from a week of non-stop crisis management. Over bourbon. He told me he'd written something into my contract that nobody else knew about. "Jim," he said, "I've been in this business long enough to see what happens when the wrong people take over. They get everything that made it worth building. I won't let that happen here." He explained the clause. My bonus wasn't just compensation, it was a legal trigger. Once paid, full intellectual property rights to Ironclad would transfer to me automatically. The transfer agreement was already executed and held in escrow, waiting for confirmation from payroll. "You'll own it," he said. "No one can steal it. No one can sell it to the wrong buyer. No one can run it into the ground." I remember setting down my glass. "Bill, that's your life's work." "No," he said. "It's our life's work. And I trust you more than any board of directors to protect it." At the time, I thought he was being paranoid, but Bill had survived 2 tours in Vietnam. He knew how to see threats before they appeared. Now, watching that timer tick down, I understood. Bill saw this coming 12 years ago. He built a failsafe and Madison had just activated it. I checked my security protocols. Credentials valid. Encryption keys untouched. No breach attempts. Madison and her IT team hadn't even tried. They thought that empty USB drive was enough. Then I set one last thing in motion. An automated email, scheduled to send if the licensing rights weren't renewed before the timer hit 0. Recipients: 3 lawyers at Sentinel Defense Group. The message was simple and lethal. As of Thursday at 12 p.m., Graybridge Defense Systems will no longer hold valid licensing rights to the Ironclad protocol central to the Sentinel integration. Please review Section 14 of the merger agreement. Section 14. The key personnel continuity clause. 3 essential names were listed. Mine was first. If any of us left before completion, Sentinel could delay, renegotiate, or walk away entirely. Madison had signed it without reading it. I'd bet my pension on that. The email would go out automatically. No button to push. No dramatic moment. Just a quiet legal notification that would rip everything apart. I went downstairs. Carol had dinner on the table. We ate in silence, both thinking about what came next. Afterward, I sat on the porch with my bourbon and watched the sun set. My phone rang twice. Unknown numbers. I let them go to voicemail. There would be time for conversations later. For now. The clock was ticking and Madison Lawson had no idea. The ground was already crumbling beneath her feet. I kept my voice steady. Section 14 is your key personnel continuity clause. You should have the original agreement on file. Yes, we do, she replied. But there's ambiguity around the licensing rights if certain personnel are no longer with Graybridge during integration. There's no ambiguity, I said calmly. The language is explicit. Without my role, the licensing rights for the ironclad system do not remain with Graybridge. Silence on the line. Then she asked, carefully, would you confirm whether those rights are currently in force? The licensing certificate was last validated while I was employed, I said. My status changed yesterday. If you need confirmation beyond that, you'll have to request the current certificate from Graybridge. She let out a slow breath. Understood. Thank you for your time. 10 minutes later, my inbox exploded. Someone at Sentinel had forwarded an internal email chain to the wrong distribution list, and my address was caught in it. I could see. Everything. Diane had sent an urgent demand to Graybridge's legal team, requesting immediate proof of ownership for the ironclad system. Her message was blunt. As per Section 14, the absence of James Bennett from Graybridge employment raises substantial risk to licensing validity. Provide current certification showing active, uncontested ownership. The forwarded chain also showed that Randall Pierce, one of Graybridge's board members, had been copied. Randall was the pragmatic one, the man who actually read contracts. He'd be asking the questions. Madison couldn't answer. I closed my laptop and didn't forward the email anywhere. The less I moved, the more they'd scramble. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was Alan Ridgway, one of our senior engineers. I trained him for 3 years, not just on the technical side, but on how to think like a systems architect. He was 32, sharp, and loyal in a way that's rare these days. Mr. Bennett, I wanted you to know something. What's that, Alan? Madison called me into her office this morning. She offered me vice president of engineering, $200,000 a year. Said I could start Monday. I waited. I told her I don't work for titles, he continued. I work for people who earn respect. Then I walked out. Something in my chest loosened. You didn't have to do that, I said. Yeah, I did. You taught me that integrity matters more than money. I'm not forgetting that just because she waved a bigger check. I appreciate it. One more thing, he said. She asked me where you kept the ironclad backups. I told her I didn't know. She's been trying to access your old workstation. They won't find anything. That's what I figured. Just wanted you to know she's panicking. After we hung up, I leaned back in my chair. Madison was scrambling, trying every angle she could think of, but it was too late. The clause was already in motion. Carol came into the office with a sandwich. You need to eat. I'm fine. Jim, you look exhausted. When's the last time you actually slept? I slept last night. For 4 hours. I heard you get up. She set the plate down gently. This isn't just about the merger, is it? I looked at her. What do you mean? You've been carrying something for years. This isn't only about protecting Bill's legacy. It's about proving you were right to give them 23 years of your life. She wasn't wrong. Part of me needed Madison to understand what she'd thrown away, not for revenge, but for validation. I needed to know that those long nights, lost weekends, and missed family dinners had meant something. Maybe, I admitted. Carol squeezed my shoulder. Finish it. Then we're going to Montana, and you're going to let this go. That evening, the news broke. Graybridge Defense System stock dropped 15%. Financial networks rolled out breaking alerts. Unconfirmed risk in Sentinel merger. Key licensing question raises investor concerns. Graybridge declines comment. I watched it unfold on my phone. Inside Graybridge headquarters. It would be chaos, emergency board meetings, lawyers scrambling. Madison trying to explain how this happened while her father, Charles Lawson, demanded answers. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need you back. But not under Madison. I knew the phrasing instantly. Randall Pierce. I didn't respond. Some offers are worth making people ask twice. Another alert followed. Sentinel Defense Group declines to reaffirm. Merger timeline. That was a shot across the bow. It told investors the deal might not close. It told the board they'd lost control. And it told Madison the clock was ticking louder than anything she could do to stop it. I checked the countdown. 47 hours. 33 minutes, 18 seconds. Carol and I ate dinner together that night. Ashley called from college worried after seeing the headlines. I told her everything was fine, that I'd landed on my feet. It wasn't a lie. Not really. Later, I sat on the porch with my bourbon. The neighborhood was quiet, somewhere across town. Madison was probably still in a conference room, trying to convince the board she had this under control. She didn't single quotes T. And in less than 48 hours. Everyone would know it. The call came at 9:47 Wednesday morning. Madison's number lit up my screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Jim Bennett, where the hell have you been? She snapped. Sentinel's legal team called me. They said they spoke to you. What did you tell them? Good morning to you too. Don't play games. They're acting like there's a problem with Section 14. What did you say? Have you read the contract? Silence long and uncomfortable. I've reviewed the key sections. She said finally. I'd recommend reading all of it. Especially the parts your legal team didn't flag. This isn't a game, Jim. They want proof of ownership for the ironclad system. We can't find the certificate. Which system are you checking? The legal vault. The contract archive. I almost smiled. That's interesting, I said. Last time I checked, the licensing certificate was stored in a separate vault. One with restricted access. The one you controlled? I glanced at my monitor. 26 hours, 30 minutes, 51 seconds. Jim, just tell me where it is. That would require me to still work for the company. I heard her shoes clicking rapidly across hard floors. If we can't produce that certificate. The merger. She stopped herself. If you can't produce it, I said quietly, Sentinel will invoke the delay clause. 9 months minimum. Maybe longer. And during that time, they'll decide whether this deal is worth salvaging. Damn it, Jim. She shouted. This is my reputation on the line. Yes, I said. It is. Silence. Then she tried again, softer. Look, if we work something out, if I talk to the board about reinstating you, I'm not coming back, Madison. But read your contract. All of it. I ended the call. Carol walked in a minute later. That was her. Yeah. How'd it go? About like you'd expect. She handed me a glass of water. You look pale. Are you okay? The tightness in my chest had returned sharper this time. I waved it off. Just stress. I'm fine. You promised me, after this is done. I know. Montana. I remember. She didn't look convinced, but she let it go. An hour later. The market opened and Graybridge stock dropped another 8%. Total collapse. 23%. In 2 days. The media went into overdrive. Analysts downgraded the stock from hold to sell. One called it a catastrophic due diligence failure. Another labeled it executive negligence at the highest level. My phone lit up again. Someone had leaked audio from a Graybridge board meeting. I clicked the link. The recording was muffled, but clear. Enough. Randall Pierce. Madison, walk me through this. You terminated Bennett 72 hours before his bonus payment. the same bonus tied to the IP transfer clause. Did you read that section of his contract? Madison: I was told the bonus was standard compensation. Randall: by who? Because legal flagged that clause 12 years ago when Bill wrote it. It's in the files. Charles Lawson: we'll fix this. We'll offer Bennett whatever he wants. Randall: he won't take it. I already reached out. He's not interested in coming back. Charles: then we sue. Breach of contract. Theft of intellectual property. Randall: on what grounds? The transfer clause is airtight. Bill and Bennett structured it as a personal consulting agreement separate from standard employment terms. The recording cut off. I leaned back slowly. The board was fracturing. Madison's credibility was gone, and Charles now understood that his daughter had just destroyed the biggest deal of his career. That afternoon, another bomb dropped. Sentinel Defense Group released a statement. Due to unresolved contractual concerns, Sentinel is suspending merger negotiations with Gray Bridge Defense Systems. Pending further review. Not terminated. Suspended. That was worse. It meant they were keeping the door open while exploring other options, and I knew exactly which option they were exploring. An hour later, my phone rang. Thomas Vaughn, CEO of Sentinel Defense Group. Mr. Bennett, he said, I wanted to inform you personally. We're suspending the Gray Bridge merger. I saw the statement. There's one more reason I'm calling, Vaughn said. My legal team reviewed your background. 23 years at Gray Bridge. Lead architect on every major Department of Defense contract they've won. The success of the Ironclad system is clearly tied to you, not the company. I said nothing. We drafted an alternative proposal yesterday, he continued. A direct partnership between Sentinel and you personally. If you're interested. I glanced at the countdown. 14 hours, 8 minutes, 22 seconds. I'll need to review the terms, I said. I'll send everything within the hour, Vaughn replied. Mr. Bennett, I'll be blunt. We need someone we can trust. That's you, not Gray Bridge. After we hung up, I sat there for a long moment, letting it sink in. It was really happening. Not just the collapse of the merger, but everything that came after it. A new path forward. One where I controlled the terms for once. The news broke fast. Sentinel suspends Gray Bridge merger. Defense deal in jeopardy over personnel dispute. CEO's daughter faces board scrutiny. I found a live stream outside Gray Bridge headquarters. Madison was being escorted out of the building by security while reporters shouted questions at her. Her face was pale, jaw tight, eyes fixed straight ahead. The caption at the bottom scrolled, VP Madison Lawson declines comment on merger suspension. Social media exploded. Someone dug up Madison's old LinkedIn post from 3 months earlier. Proud to lead this transformational partnership. The future of defense technology starts here. The comments were brutal, now calling it arrogant, premature, uninformed. Then my phone buzzed. An email from Vaughn. Subject, partnership proposal, Bennett Defense Solutions. I opened it. The terms were more than generous. 3-year consulting contract. $15 million total compensation. Equity stake in Ironclad deployment. Complete technical control. Part-time. Remote when possible. It was everything I'd ever wanted and never dared to ask for. I forwarded it to my attorney with a single note. Review this. I think we have a deal. 5 minutes later, his response came back. This is outstanding. Better than anything Gray Bridge ever offered you. Let's move forward. That evening, Carol and I sat on the porch as the sun painted the sky orange and purple. She reached for my hand, something she hadn't done in a while. It's almost over, she said. Yeah. How do you feel? I thought for a moment. Tired, relieved, ready to be done. No regrets? About leaving Gray Bridge? No. And the 23 years? Some days, yes. Some days, no. But I built something that mattered. That has to count for something. She squeezed my hand. It counts for a lot. Upstairs, the countdown read 11 hours. 42 minutes, 6 seconds. By tomorrow at noon. Ironclad would be mine. Not Graybridge's. Not Madison's. Mine. And then I could finally let it all go. I barely slept that night. At 3 a.m. Carol found me sitting at my desk, watching the timer tick down. She didn't say a word, just placed her hand on my shoulder and stayed there until I came back to bed. Thursday morning arrived cold and clear. I made coffee and sat on the porch as the neighborhood slowly came to life. My phone was turned off. I didn't need distractions now. At 11:55 a.m., I went upstairs and opened my laptop. The countdown read 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Carol stood in the doorway. "You sure about this?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Unsure." The numbers dropped. 3 minutes. 2 minutes. 1. At exactly 12 p.m., the screen flashed. Transfer complete. No alarms. No fanfare. Just a simple notification and a PDF that appeared on the screen. Opened it. The updated licensing certificate for the Ironclad protocol. Owner: James Bennett. 20-3 years of work now, legally mine. I saved the file in 3 separate encrypted locations and sent a one-line email to my attorney. "It's done." His reply came immediately. "Congratulations. Nobody can touch it now." Carol stepped beside me and looked at the screen. "That's it. That's it." She wrapped her arms around me from behind. "How does it feel?" "Honestly, I just feel tired." An hour later, I turned my phone back on. It exploded. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. Voicemail full. The news had already broken. Sentinel Defense Group announces exclusive partnership with Bennett Defense Solutions. The press release was clean and final. Sentinel is pleased to confirm a strategic partnership with James Bennett for the continued development and deployment of the Ironclad Defense Protocol. No mention of Graybridge. No mention of Madison. Just my name and the system I built. One of the texts was from Alan. "Sir, I saw the news. Does this mean what I think it means?" I called him. "It means I'm starting a consulting firm, and I want you as technical director if you're interested." "Absolutely. When do we start?" 30 days. "I'm taking my wife to Montana first." "You earned it, sir." Another text came through from a number I didn't recognize. "Jim, this is Charles Lawson. I owe you an apology. I was blind to what Madison did. If there's any way to make this right." I stared at it for a long time. Charles wasn't a bad man. Just a father who believed his daughter could do no wrong. But some things can't be repaired with apologies. I wrote back. "I appreciate that, Charles. But it's time for both of us to move forward. Good luck." The financial networks ran the story all day. Graybridge stock collapsed. 31% total. One headline read, "How a $127,000 bonus clause destroyed a $285 million deal that evening." My phone rang one last time. It was Randall Pierce. "Jim, I won't take much of your time," he said. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. We should have protected you better. Bill would have been ashamed of how this went down." "Bill built the protection I needed 12 years ago," I said. "He saw this coming. He was smarter than all of us." Randall paused. "For what it's worth, Madison's no longer with the company. The board asked for her resignation this morning." I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected. Just a dull acknowledgement. "And Charles?" I asked. "He's staying on." "But it's complicated. The board's not happy." "This never had to happen," I said. "No," Randall agreed. "It didn't." After the call, I found Carol in the kitchen making dinner. "She's out," I told her. "How do you feel about that?" "I don't know. It's not about her anymore. It's about what comes next. Carol smiled. Montana? Montana. 3 weeks. Just us. The weekend passed quietly. I ignored most calls, answered a few emails, and started sketching what Bennett Defense Solutions would become. Alan, and I talked twice about bringing over 2 more engineers from Graybridge, good people who deserved better. On Monday, I signed the Sentinel Partnership Agreement. 3 years. Part-time. Full technical control. Then full retirement at 5/3 Tuesday morning. Carol and I loaded the truck and headed west. 2 days later, we reached a lakeside cabin in Montana. No cell service, no noise. Just water and trees and silence. Somewhere in Wyoming, my phone finally stopped buzzing. The world had moved on. Graybridge was no longer my problem. At the dock, I stood watching the sun sink into the water. You did it, Carol said. We did it, I replied. 2 weeks into Montana. My phone rang. Pentagon area code. I almost didn't answer. Mr. Bennett, we have a situation, the voice said. Critical infrastructure breach. I'll have my team contact you, I interrupted. Alan Ridgway will handle it. But sir, we specifically requested. Alan's good, I said. Better than good. Trust him. I hung up and went back to the porch where my grandson was struggling with a fishing knot. He was 7, pure focus and determination. I knelt beside him and showed him how to loop it properly. Grandpa, he asked, did you really work for the Army? Sort of, I said. I built systems that kept important things safe. Like what? Power plants, communications, stuff people need. Are you going to do it again? For a little while, I said. Then I'm going to teach other people how to do it. Then I'm going to retire and take you fishing more often. He grinned. Deal. That night, Carol and I sat on the dock watching stars, real ones, the kind only visible far from cities and obligations. Any regrets? She asked. About leaving? No. About how it ended? Maybe. I wish Madison had just read the contract. Would have saved everyone a lot of pain. You think she learned anything? I hope so. But that's not my concern anymore. Carol rested her head on my shoulder. Bill would be proud of you. Yeah, I said softly. I think he would. 72 hours. That's all it took to change everything. Madison thought she was cutting costs. What she really did was hand me my future and prove that competence. Loyalty and doing the work still matter. I'm 50 years old. I have 3 years of consulting left. Then I'm done. And somewhere in Virginia, there's a boardroom learning the hard way that some people can't be replaced, not because they're irreplaceable, but because they earned it.